Fantastic speech, that Paula. Really inspirational. Comrades, the next speaker is a good friend of mine. She used to work with me as well as Unite the Union. Sheila Coleman, she doesn't really need an introduction. She's well known in the town, and she's also had a heavy involvement in the Hillsborough Justice campaign. So give a big welcome to Sheila Coleman.
Thank you. I'm honoured to stand on this platform with Jeremy Corbyn. I'm also honoured to speak here in Bootle, to speak to the people of Bootle, not at the people of Bootle. I feel I'm on home territory. I'm only from down the road in Kirkdale, so you know what I'm saying, North Enders. I actually, I've lived in Toxteth for 36 years, but I think I'm still a blow-in. Last Saturday, around this time, I was on the streets of Strasbourg with fellow community members who are here today at an event called This Europe is Not Our Europe. And I was with a whole host of people who argued against the European Union, but I have to say they're coming from somewhere totally different from Tommy Robinson and Farage and others. And I'm making that point for a reason, because amongst us here now, there will be people who think differently about Europe. But there is also a time for compromise and pragmatism, and this is the time. I don't do compromise. Anyone who knows me knows, I won't go round a door, I'll go through it. That's my nature, that's how I've got things done in the past. So for me to admit that there's some times where you have to concede and compromise takes a lot for me. But when there's so much at stake, I'm prepared to do that. There will be people here today, as there are people all over the country going, well, what's the point in voting in the European elections? We're probably going to be out of it in a few months. That, to me, is an irrelevance. Politicians can play the political hokey-cokey over Europe. That's fine with me. But things are as they are. And the situation is that next week, European politicians, whether they're in for 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, is an irrelevance. There is a chance here that if you don't go out and vote, people like Tommy Robinson will be sitting there in Strasbourg. And let me tell you, he will feel comfortable there. And there will be people who will welcome him there. And that's what scares me. Because Tommy Robinson doesn't scare me. He doesn't scare me if I'm in a group or on my own. I've got no problems with Tommy Robinson. But I have got problems that this system is such that people might consider not voting and allow him in on such a small minority. And that is why I say to you today, you must go out and you must not let Tommy Robinson in. It is so crucial that you vote in these elections. Now you see, unlike other people, I have a strong faith in the fundamental goodness of working class people. And in the long run, I always trust us to do the right thing. So whether you have criticisms of the Labour Party, and let's face it, we have, that's what makes things healthy and progressive, that we can discuss, we can argue. At a national level, I only joined Labour to get Jeremy Corbyn in. And I have stayed in Labour and will remain true, not just to Jeremy Corbyn, but to a dedicated team behind him. Because some of us know what goes on in the background, and we know the good people who work behind him, who do the utmost to support him. But today is not a time to talk about the wretches who try and do him in. We all know that. Every party, every organisation, I work for a trade union, the same things happen. It's human nature. But sometimes we've got to go against it. We've got to stand firm, even if we're the only person standing up. And, Mick mentioned the Hillsborough Justice campaign. I'll use that only fleetingly because, there's a gagging order, we can't speak about it. But what I would say is, in terms of this city, if ever anything highlighted and epitomised people fighting back, it was that. From nothing to taking the state on, to getting a reversal. That's what we're about. That's what Scousers are about. And let's remember, we're Scousers. English. We have a unique identity. We are a city of migrants. If we all went back where we came from, the city would be empty. None of us would be here. So when we have people like Robinson and others coming in, talking about keeping it for ourselves, I don't know who ourselves is, only us. You know, and we're from everywhere. And it's interesting, you know, Kim spoke about Liverpool 8. Well, it's interesting that Robinson quite cleverly has targeted here and Heighton tomorrow to visit. Notice he's not coming into the city centre for fear of getting locked in, left luggage or chased out. He's not coming to my park in Toxteth. Why isn't he coming to Prince's Park, to Liverpool 8? No, he won't, because the man's a coward. He thinks he's got an audience here. It's up to us to show him there's no audience here, there's no place for him. And what I say to you is, please, tomorrow, the good people of Bootle, come out, tell them there's nowhere for him here. And we will be behind you. We're not coming in telling you what to do. You know what to do in your own community. And I'm not going to shout on your behalf. You're more than capable of shouting on your own behalf. But I'll be behind you, just as I'll be behind the people in Heighton later on. But come out, please. And my message is a clear one. I don't care if you've got problems at a local level, be it with Sefton Council, Liverpool Council. Forget all that. Forget local politics. This is bigger. We have to prevent people like Robinson getting in through the back door into Europe, where he will be fated. And spot on what was said, he has big money behind him, as does Farage. These people have more than us collectively, probably. So let's not forget that we are looking to the future, and don't take your eye off the prize. And the prize is Jeremy Corbyn in office. Let's send out a message on Thursday to people. So all I'd say is, we'll be with you tomorrow, behind you tomorrow, and let's get out there on Thursday, and let's go forward to a Corbyn-led Labour government. Thank you.
Colleagues, that was a fantastic speech by Sheila. Really inspiring. Right, we've got one more speaker. His name's not Jeremy. Jeremy likes coming up here. I don't know why, but you know, he comes to West Kirby to a big crowd. He comes to St George's Hall. He's been to Tranmere Rovers. He tries to get into Liverpool, Southport, anywhere else. Right. Here's a man who's going to lead us into the next government, you know, and give a big Merseyside welcome to Jeremy Corbyn!
Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here today in this fantastic Derby Park. And thank you to our comrade candidates for the European Parliament. Come on, put your hands up. Yeah. And Richard Bergen, MP, come over from Leeds. Dan Carden, where are you, Dan? And Metro Mayor Steve. I miss Steve telling me what to ask David Cameron. Every time I was thinking up some deeply intellectual question to put to Cameron, he said, go for his effing ankles. Very sound advice, actually. So, today we're in Liverpool campaigning for the European elections, but also with a very particular message about the dangers to our society, not just in Britain, not just in this city, but all across Europe and indeed the wider world, of the danger of the rise of the far right and their simplistic answers which can only breed hatred and division. And Liverpool is a most amazing city. You all know that. You know the achievements of the people of Liverpool. You know the way they've stood up against adversity, the way they've always sought a community solution to collective problems, never an individual solution climbing on the back of somebody else. And that is surely that great tradition of Liverpool, the strength of the trade unions, the strength of the labour movement, and that whole argument about how we go forward in society. In the 1930s, Unemployment was massive all across the country. The rise of the far right in Germany was very obvious of what was going on. The rise of the Nazi Party and what was happening in Germany was very obvious. The fascists were on the march in Britain as well. Mosley tried to march through the East End of London, and a combination of Irish and Jewish workers got together with the support of tens of thousands of others and stopped him in his tracks. The same thing happened in Stockton in the northeast and happened in many other places. Community action against them. And in Liverpool, one of your great sons of this city realised what was going on, but also saw what was happening 1,000 miles away in Spain, where the fascists had come from Spanish colonies, landed in Spain, and Franco, aided, abetted, armed and funded and financed by the Nazis, was marching through Spain to try and defeat the dream of the Republic in Spain, led by socialists of all hues. That man went to Spain to fight for the International Brigade. That man went to Spain in order to stand up to defeat the Nazis in Spain, that they would be defeated all across Europe at some point. He realised that danger, as did many others from Liverpool, from Glasgow, working class men and women who joined the International Brigade to go to Spain. That man was Jack Jones. He saw what that danger was. And if we don't do something about it, that danger rises again. Do we achieve things together, or do we leave it to the individual and start blaming minorities for their purpose in life? Last night I was at an iftar supper at my local mosque, and it was a lovely occasion. The mayor of my borough is a Somali woman, a Muslim woman. The deputy mayor is an Irish Catholic. The best speech of the evening was made by a rabbi from Hackney. Yeah. He got something against Richmond-on-Thames. I have no idea why or what. He didn't adequately explain it, so we're going to meet him on Tuesday for a further discussion. But he made this incredible speech about how people come together, enjoy each other's differences, enjoy each other's cultural diversity, and enjoy an iftar supper, enjoy a supper in a synagogue, enjoy something in a church. There's lots of things you can do together. It doesn't have to be religious either. It is about people coming together. But when I read the propaganda being put out by the far right in this European election, where they're blaming Muslims for all the ills of our society, change that language to the language that was used in Germany in the 1920s and 30s, where they tried to blame Jewish people for all the ills of society, for the inflation of the Weimar Republic and all that, then you begin to see where this leads to. And so we've come together today, not just to oppose the far right, but also to analyse what's happened, and above all, how we fix it and how we go forward. Because this country has become economically the most divided country in Europe. 9 years of Tory and Lib Dem government have resulted in tax cuts for the very richest, has resulted in the slashing of expenditure to local government by about 50%, has brought in universal credit and the desperation of debt as a result of it, and has created a homelessness crisis like I've never seen in my lifetime. And it's getting worse. When children go to school and have to beg the teacher for something to eat, when a head teacher from Richard's area in Leeds describes a child following another to pick up the apple core out of the bin to eat the remains of the apple the first child hadn't quite finished. That, in modern Britain, the 5th richest country in the world, something is very badly wrong.
Shame, shame, shame. Absolutely shame.
We can can afford lots of things, but we cannot afford these levels of inequality. And so this lot, this Tories and Lib Dem coalition partners, up until 2015, they're the ones that slashed the spending to local government, they're the ones that underfunded health, they're the ones that mean so many people are living in such poverty. And they very calmly blame somebody else for the crash of 2008 and the austerity that came with it. I just say this to them: that crash was not caused by greedy nurses, wasn't caused by street cleaners demanding a pay rise, wasn't caused by the unemployed, wasn't caused by those who couldn't afford to pay their rent in the private rented sector. It was caused by out-of-control bankers ruining the economy of this country and so many others. And so, when we got ready for the leadership campaign of 2015, to me, we had to be clear. We, the Labour Party, have got to be a party that is challenging austerity and challenging the whole narrative that you make the working class pay for the failings of the banking class in the first place. We put that forward, and then in the 2017 general election, we developed the policy further with our manifesto for the many, not the few. My desperate sadness is that we didn't quite win that 2017 election. But we gained a very high vote, we ran them very close, we gained Labour seats across the country. And you know what? We also changed the whole political narrative, away from managing austerity to challenging austerity and ensuring we bring about something different and better within our society. We only achieve that by doing things together. And so, in these European elections, it's very important we get the highest possible vote we can for Labour candidates. Those who decide they're going to sit out the election and stay home because they don't like it, don't like Europe, don't like the weather, don't feel very happy, concerned that Liverpool may win or may not win. I'm sorry, it's a bit controversial, but I'm sure they will. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Listen, I'm an Arsenal supporter, it's fine. But if they stay home and the far right go out to vote, under this strange electoral system that European elections have, you're actually giving support to the far right because you're strengthening their position in order to gain somebody being elected. It's that important.
Woo!
So when you're campaigning, please encourage people to vote and to vote Labour. Because what we're offering is something very different to our society. An investment-led economy with a national investment bank. Peter's going to be having a big hand in that, so you better be nice to him. And that investment bank will be for national projects, but also be regional transformation funds, so that the needs of the North West, the needs of rail networks across the north of England will be dealt with, will be funded and will be developed. And will develop those high-tech green industrial revolution jobs all across the country. So we challenge the whole problem of climate change by investing in green technology which provides jobs, skilled work and a real future for all of us, at the same time as reducing the levels of pollution and damage to our natural world and our climate. Those are the kind of imaginative policies that Labour has developed. And will develop a national education service, and that's going to be the legacy of the next Labour government, a national education service. So we do a very simple thing. We do for education what the post-war Labour government did for health. They took the commodity out of it and inserted the right to health. We'll take the commodity out of education and insert the right to education. The right to a free school meal, the right to a decent school, the right to their music, the right to an apprenticeship, the right to go to college. So you can make your contribution to society to the best of your ability. because denying people those chances actually damages us all. That's why we are Labour, that's why we're Socialists, that's why we believe so strongly in what we're doing. And so when we campaign, we are getting a lot of abuse thrown at us by the mainstream media. Sometimes they even say unkind things about me. I cannot believe it. They've even been unkind about my cat. I mean, this is... be rude to me, but not my cat, you know, please. And they go on and on about it because they're trying to divide us, they're trying to destroy us, they're trying to weaken us. Well, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because we know what we're doing and the unity we have. And so, when they say the division is between those that voted Leave and those that voted Remain in 2016, I put it like this. There are people who live in areas of London that voted overwhelmingly Remain in that referendum. They're poor, they're living in private rented accommodation, they're having difficulty paying the bills, they're struggling with universal credit, they're in insecure work, they may even be on 0 hours contracts, and their school is underfunded. There are people living in areas that voted overwhelmingly Leave, that are going through exactly the same problems in their lives. We bring people together to confront the austerity programme, to confront the Tories and the Lib Dems. And in our proposals to Parliament, we recognise what the result was. We also recognise that there has to be trade with Europe in the future. People may have voted Leave, they didn't vote to leave their jobs. They didn't vote to have unregulated food. They didn't vote to open up our economy to Donald Trump and his agenda from the United States. And so we put forward all those alternatives, and we will continue to put them forward in Parliament, and I'm quite happy there should then be a public discussion and decision on them in the future. But above all, it's about protecting and improving working class living standards all across this country and ending the disgrace and the misery of poverty that stalks our land, the fifth richest country in the world. People say, well, all right, you're all alone on this. No, we're not. Look at the agreement that's been reached by socialist parties across Europe for the Europe-wide manifesto on a minimum wage across Europe, on investment across Europe, on ending austerity across Europe. Look at the socialists in the United States. Yes, the socialists in the United States. The wonderful AOC, Bernie Sanders, all our friends over there. People that I call my friends, who are challenging exactly the same things. If we're to live in a world of peace, live in a world that can survive, deal with the great challenges of the world, you only do it by coming together. You only do it by pooling our minds, our brains, our energy, our imagination, and our resources. But if instead we allow the right, the far right in Europe to mount once again the spectre, the scourge, the hatred of anti-Semitism in Poland, in Austria, in Germany, in Hungary, we allow them to mount the spectre of Islamophobia in France, in the Netherlands, or in this country, then we are weakening. We have to stand together for the kind of world and kind of society that we want to live in. Liverpool is a city of people from all over the world. Liverpool is a city that's been a sanctuary for people from all over the world. And yes, there is the whole history of Liverpool and the slave trade. But Liverpool understands that. That's why there's a museum on it to educate our children as to the reality of that history. So when we're out campaigning, it's important that we get this message across. Young people brought together with the idea that there is hope for them in the future is surely what it all has to be about. I am fed up with politicians all over the world saying to young people, oh God, you're going to have a hard time. You're not going to have the pensions. You're not going to have the health service. You're not going to have the free education in the future. You're going to be worse off than your parents' generation. And by the way, should we start putting money aside for our grandchildren to pay for their education and their health care in the future? Are we to be the generation that cascaded poverty from one generation to the other? Or are we to be the generation that challenged the injustice, the inequality, the simple fact that an average chief executive of a FTSE 100 company earns 145 times the national average income? That's not a society at ease with itself. That's a society heading into deep inequality and deep problems. We can give that hope to the next generation and the one after that by caring for this generation that needs that help and support, and by investing in them for the future. But we can't do it for two things. One, if we don't challenge inequality, and two, if we allow ourselves to be divided by the far right and their message of poison and hate within our society. I know what it's going to be. We work together for the future. We invest together for the future. We defeat the far right. We elect Labour MPs. We elect Labour members of the European Parliament. And we get that general election as soon as the Tories have chosen a new leader. We win for the many, not the few.
Thank you for watching live video from Liverpool.